Good morning. Welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television. All of the biggest news stories from India and across the world coming up in the next 30 minutes. I'm Ashwarya with you and these are the headlines. Death toll due to floods mounts to 44 in Bihar and the northeast. 70 lakh affected. 119 NDRF teams deployed for rescue. Union Jal Shakti Minister to visit Assam today. Supreme Court to hear petition of 15 rebel Karnataka MLAs on their resignations. Chief Minister Kumaraswamy to seek vote of confidence on Thursday. BJP leader Yediyurappa claims Congress-JDS coalition doesn't have the numbers to continue. Key bills listed for consideration and passing in Rajya Sabha House to discuss the Airports Economic Regulatory Authority of India Amendment Bill 2019. Also listed are the Central Universities Amendment Bill 2019 and the New Delhi International Arbitration Centre Bill 2019. Discussion on demand for grants for Road and Transport Ministry to continue in Lok Sabha House to also take up discussion on demand for grants for Rural and Agriculture Ministry. And Pakistan opens airspace for all civilian traffic with immediate effect, lifts ban since February Balakot airstrike. First up, the story is from the northeast, where the flood situation remains grim in the parts of northeast and Bihar as the death toll mounted to 44 on Monday, with nearly 70 lakh people affected. In Assam, the deluge spread to 30 of the state's 33 districts, affecting nearly 43 lakh people and also claiming 15 lives. Besides submerging rhino habitats, the Kaziranga National Park, the Pobitora Wildlife Sanctuary and the Manas National Park. The water level of the Brahmaputra rose above the danger level across the state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to Chief Minister Sarbanand Sonowal over the phone and discussed about the prevailing condition on Monday. Union Jal Shakti Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat will undertake an aerial survey in Upper Assam today. Later, he will also hold a review meeting with the senior Assam government ministers and officials in Guwahati. Meanwhile, at least 1,000 families had to be evacuated in Lunglai district of Mizoram as the raging waters of one of the rivers flooded 32 villages here, while rain-related incidents led to the death of 5 people in the state. Several towns and villages remain inaccessible due to road blockades caused by landslides, while power supply and telecommunication services are also severely disrupted across the state. Incessant rains across Meghalaya for the last 7 days and rising waters of 2 rivers flooded the plains of West Garo Hill district as well, affecting over 1 lakh people here. Meanwhile, the low-lying areas of the state capital city, Shillong, were also flooded. However, the flood situation in Tripura showed some signs of improvement as Khowai and Hora rivers started receding. And the death toll in Bihar floods mounted to 24, with over 25 lakh people reeling from the deluge in 12 districts of the state, following incessant rains in neighboring country Nepal. With 5 rivers in spate, Chief Minister Nitish Kumar undertook his second aerial survey of the flood-hit areas during the day on Monday. Meanwhile, 5 rivers are flowing still above the danger level at various places in the state. As many as 119 teams of the NDRF have been deployed in flood-hit areas of the country, including in Assam and Bihar, and a 24/7 control room has also been set up in Delhi to closely monitor the situation in these regions. Meanwhile, North India witnessed a widespread rainfall on Monday. The long wait for rain in the national capital Delhi and the NCR finally got over on Monday as the city braved strong winds and rain. Light showers were reported throughout the city, and they also predicted until Thursday. Now, this comes as a relief for the city that has been witnessing long dry days even as the clouds formed over the region. Meanwhile, in Maharashtra, 75 villages along the river banks in Palghar and Thane districts have been put on high alert as the water levels of two major dams in the region are close to the overflow mark. Many parts of Himachal Pradesh have also received light to moderate showers since Sunday, and the weathermen have issued a yellow warning for heavy rains today. Widespread rains also lashed most of Punjab, Haryana and Chandigarh on Monday, bringing down the maximum temperature in the region up to 5 notches below normal. Meanwhile, in neighboring Nepal, flood-hit country has appealed to the international agencies for help to prevent the possible waterborne diseases and to ensure proper health services to tens of thousands of people who have been affected by incessant rains in the country. Death toll here has risen to 67 as more than 25 districts as well as 10,000 households have been affected. Nepal has been hit by heavy rainfall since Thursday. 32 people are reported to be missing in rain-related incidents that have thrown life out of gear in central and eastern parts of the country. And the Meteorological Forecasting Division warned the public to remain on high alert and said that air and road traffic could be affected due to low visibility. And now news on budget session of Parliament. Well, key bills are listed in today's agenda in Rajya Sabha. Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri will move the Airports Economic Regulatory Authority of India Amendment Bill 2019 for consideration and passage. Now, it aims to amend the Airports Economic Regulatory Authority of India Act 2008. The bill proposes to allow the Airports Economic Regulatory Authority of India to bid out any new airport at a predetermined tariff structure. The bill was introduced in Rajya Sabha last week. And the Central Universities Amendment Bill 2019 will also be moved today in the Upper House by Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank for consideration and passing. This bill seeks to amend the Central Universities Act 2009, which establishes universities for teaching and research in various states. The bill provides for the establishment of 2 central universities in Andhra Pradesh to be known as the Central University of Andhra Pradesh and the Central Tribal University of Andhra Pradesh. The Central Tribal University will take additional measures to provide higher education and research facilities in tribal art, culture and customs, primarily to the tribal population of India. The bill was unanimously passed by the Lok Sabha last week. And the New Delhi International Arbitration Centre Bill 2019 is also listed in the House for consideration and passing today. The bill seeks to establish an autonomous and independent institution for better management of arbitration in our country. It also seeks to provide for the establishment of the New Delhi International Arbitration Centre, or the NDIAC, to conduct arbitration, mediation and conciliation proceedings. It also declares the NDIAC as an institution of national importance. The bill was unanimously passed by the Lok Sabha last week. And now talking about Lok Sabha, well, the lower house will continue discussion on demand for grants for the Ministry of Road and Transport today. The debate began in the House on Monday, with several MPs expressing concern over increasing number of road accidents in the country and urged the government to focus on road safety, especially on expressways. The members also demanded speeding up road construction in the country, as it was essential for economic development.
That the State Bank of India has given 25,000 crores to the National Highway Authority of India. My fear is that the government is taking a lot of loans and raising a lot of market borrowings. Whether these loans will ultimately become NPLs if the projects are not complete.
कई सारे सड़क परियोजना का काम तेजी से नहीं होता। इसका मुख्य कारण है भूमि अधिग्रहण में लंबा समय लगना। कई सारे योजना में पर्यावरण और वन विभाग की मंजूरी समय पर मिलती नहीं, इसलिए काम जल्दी से नहीं होता। देश भर में ऐसे जलद गति से होने वाले कार्य को पूरा करने के लिए राज्य और केंद्र सरकार द्वारा एक समिति गठित करनी चाहिए कि जो पर्यावरण और वन मंत्रालय से जुड़कर इस मंत्रालय से जल्दी परमिशन मिले।
This kind of underutilization speaks volumes for some inefficiencies at a cutting edge level which need to be ironed out. Otherwise, there is no reason why when you get a year-on-year increase, you are underutilizing. And on top of that, you are of course going to the market and raising funds all the time by all kinds of bonds, saddling yourself with liabilities. So therefore, if there is going to be underutilization of this nature, then there is no point in saddling yourself with liabilities. The government moves in mysterious ways its wonders to perform. I don't know what they do, where they pick up the money from and where they spend it.
जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो डेवलपमेंट होता है वो रोड डेवलपमेंट के बिना कुछ काम नहीं हो सकता। अगर आप देश में और विदेश में आप देखते हैं तो जहां रोड नेटवर्क होता है वहां ट्रेन नेटवर्क आता है, और जहां ट्रेन नेटवर्क आता है वहां पानी का भी नेटवर्क होता है। उसी को देखते हुए देश में भी उसी तरह का जाल आदरणीय मोदी साहब की सरकार ने और आदरणीय नितिन जी भाई साहब ने पूरे देश में करने का प्रयास किया है। उन्होंने जो ट्रेड को बढ़ावा दिया है, उन्होंने कॉमर्स को बढ़ावा दिया है, उन्होंने लोगों को काम देने की प्रयास किए हैं।
And the House will also begin a discussion and voting on the demands for grants under the control of Ministries of Rural Development and Agriculture and Farmers Welfare for 2019-20. Demand for grants is an annual expenditure plan of each ministry for the particular financial year. It includes a provision with respect to revenue expenditure, capital expenditure, grants to the state governments as well as loans and advances. All right, let's go across to Kriti Mishra, our colleague who's joining us live from Parliament. A very good morning, Kriti. Kriti, talking first of Lok Sabha, yesterday it passed a bill that gives more powers to the NIA, and today discussion on demand for grants for the Ministry of Road and Transport as well as the Ministries of Rural Development and Agriculture and Farmers Welfare are slated to take place. What more can you tell us?
Well, extensive discussions took place on demands for grants for the Ministry of Road and Transport yesterday. That discussion remained inconclusive and that would continue today. So after the discussion, in fact, Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari could reply to the debate. Also, there's a discussion on demands for grants for the Ministry of Agriculture as well as Rural Development. So in the lower house, a very productive day, and it is expected that the ministers would reply today to the discussion. Aishwarya?
And Kriti, talking about Rajya Sabha, there are 3 key bills that are to be moved for consideration and passing. And there are also reports that suggest, that some parties are seeking to move these key bills to the standing committees for a harder look. Any details on that?
Well, that's right, Aishwarya. The Airports Economic Regulatory Authority Amendment Bill, when this bill was tabled in the upper house by Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri, the opposition members had demanded that this bill be sent to the committee for further scrutiny and for further examination. Remember, there are around, according to the 2018 figures, around 110 airports in the country, of which 74 are domestic, 26 international and also 8 for customs. Now, this particular bill aims at actually strengthening the entire power tariff and the power structure. So the government is seeking to ensure the passage of this bill in the Rajya Sabha, but it remains to be seen what would be the strategy of the opposition parties and also the Central Universities Amendment Bill. The opposition members have questioned that as well. This bill seeks to establish Central University as well as Tribal University in the state of Andhra Pradesh. There's another important bill to be taken up in the Rajya Sabha, which is the New Delhi International Arbitration Centre Bill. So important bills lined up in the Rajya Sabha, but it remains to be seen what would be the strategy of the opposition parties, whether they would want to ensure passage of this bill or send all these bills for further examination and scrutiny by the committees. Aishwarya?
All right, Kriti, thank you for all those updates there from Parliament. Meanwhile, Lok Sabha today in fact, Monday passed the National Investigation Agency Amendment Bill 2019. Passed by a voice vote, the bill was supported by 278 members, while 6 members opposed it. The bill seeks to give more teeth to the National Investigation Agency, that is the NIA, and allows it to probe terrorist acts against Indians and Indian interests abroad. The amendments will also allow the NIA to probe cyber crimes and also cases of human trafficking. And replying to the discussion on the bill in the House, Home Minister Amit Shah said that paramount importance should be given on Parliament speaking in one voice in giving powers to the NIA to send out a message to terrorists and the world. And earlier taking part in the discussion, some MPs said that the anti-terror law is being misused.
We are committed because this is about terrorism. This is not about UPA versus NDA. This is about national security. आपके भी बच्चे, मेरे भी बच्चे, सबके बच्चे. This is a national security issue. So it's not about your UPA versus NDA. When it comes to national security, this House must stand in one voice to tell the world that we stand united against any corruption or any national security issues.
In administrative and constitutional law, sir, we follow the rule that any power is coupled with the responsibility. May I know from the Honourable Minister, now what is the responsibility of his government towards the victims?
Given the fact that we had emerged from colonial rule, there was a whole architecture, an entire panoply of laws which had been put in place by an exploitative colonial state in order to keep the people of India and the citizens of India suppressed. The reason why I am pointing out some of these fundamental facets, Mr. Speaker, sir, is primarily because the founding fathers also emphasized that a democracy must be run by the rule of law. And in terms of criminal jurisprudence, what does rule of law translate into? Rule of law translates into three things.
मैं सबसे पहले सदन को आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं कि नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार की इस कानून को मिसयूज करने की ना कोई इच्छा है, ना मनसा है, ना हम कभी होने देंगे। ये कानून का शुद्ध रूप से उपयोग आतंकवाद को खत्म करने के लिए ही किया जाएगा। मगर उसको खत्म करते वक्त हम ये भी नहीं देखेंगे कि ये किस धर्म के व्यक्ति ने किया है। ये दोनों चीजें स्पष्ट होनी चाहिए। जो कोई भी इसके दायरे में आएगा, जो कोई भी इसकी कानून की जद में गुनाह करेगा, उसको नसीहत करने का काम ये कानून करेगा। ये मैं सदन को आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं।
And the Motor Vehicles Amendment Bill 2019 was reintroduced in the House on Monday. The bill aims to increase penalties on traffic violations, address issues on third-party insurance, regulation of cab aggregators, road safety, and regulate permits. And the Surrogacy Regulation Bill 2019, which aims to prohibit commercial surrogacy in India, was reintroduced on Monday. The bill proposes to regulate surrogacy in our country by establishing a national surrogacy board at the central level and state surrogacy boards. The bill was passed by the last Lok Sabha, but it had lapsed after dissolution of the House. All right, let's get to some other news now. The Supreme Court will today hear a plea of 15 rebel MLAs of the ruling Congress-JDS coalition in Karnataka. Now, they are seeking a direction to the Assembly Speaker K.R. Ramesh Kumar to accept their resignations. The bench, headed by Chief Justice Ranjan Gogoi on Monday, agreed to hear today a plea of 5 rebel Congress MLAs along with the pending petition of 10 legislators. The 5 MLAs had moved the apex court on Saturday against the Speaker not accepting their resignations. The court had on Friday restrained the Speaker from taking any decision till today on the resignation and the disqualification of 10 rebel MLAs of the coalition. Meanwhile, the Speaker announced on Monday that Kumaraswamy government will face a floor test on Thursday. BJP has also asked the Kumaraswamy government to either prove majority in the state assembly or resign. Congress and JDS are trying to persuade the MLAs who resigned before the trust vote.
Discussion on vote of confidence will be taken on Thursday at 11 o'clock. That is the decision taken. Yes, number is a number game. I am hopeful and confident that we will win the vote of confidence.
And on to the other top story this morning. Closed since February Balakot airstrike, Pakistan reopened its airspace for all civilian traffic today, effectively removing ban on Indian flights that were not allowed to use majority of its airspace. Pakistan had fully closed its airspace on 26th of February after the Indian Air Force struck a Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist training camp in Balakot in retaliation to the Pulwama attack on 14th of February. Since then, the neighbouring country had only opened 2 routes of the total 11. Now, the move is expected to give a major relief to Air India, which suffered a huge financial loss of around 491 crore rupees as it had to reroute its various international flights due to the closure of the Pakistani airspace. All right, let's get a perspective. Our colleague Akhilesh Suman is now joining us on the phone line. A very good morning, Akhilesh. The move is expected to give relief, especially to Air India, which had to reroute the various international flights due to the closure of the airspace. So what are the updates? Has the normal air traffic resumed?
Yeah, normal air traffic has resumed since night actually. And just after Pakistan sent the message to India, the message to India came around 7 p.m. yesterday night. And after 7 p.m., after deliberations and paperwork, India also announced that airspace will be open for Pakistan. So India and Pakistan have reciprocally opened their airspace for each other's flight. So in that way, it is a win-win situation for both India and Pakistan. You cannot say that just India was losing, Pakistan was also losing heavily because it also has to send its flights to the East Asian countries and other countries through this route. So India gave the statistics, but Pakistan didn't give the statistics, but both were losing. And you know that the message of announcement came for the public around 12:41 a.m. And with immediate effect, Pakistan airspace was open, but things were in operations much before that. So in that way, it is a solace for the passengers, basically, who had to take a bigger route. And even Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who was going to Bishkek for participating in SCO summit, he also take a bigger route. He didn't want to go to Pakistan airspace, even when Pakistan had announced that they will give a flight way for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's flight. But it was not right. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi decided, and in SCO also many countries have raised the question about connectivity and connectivity of all the types. So all SCO members should open their connectivity routes, and in that way Pakistan was under tremendous pressure economically, politically, and also from the passenger side, people side, because people-to-people interaction from various countries was being choked because of this problem. So
Indeed,
I think
a big relief, of course, for the passengers there. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for all those updates there. And UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath on Monday called on Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and invited him to be the chief guest at the closing ceremony of the groundbreaking event for industrial projects in the state capital on 29th of July. While Home Minister Amit Shah will inaugurate the groundbreaking ceremony on 28th of July, Vice President will lead the closing ceremony. The proposed ceremony is for the industrial projects for which MOUs were signed during the UP Investors Summit that was held in February last year. The groundbreaking ceremony is for industrial projects worth more than 65,000 crore rupees. And during the UP Investors Summit, several industrialists had committed investments in the state. And Guru Purnima is being celebrated across the country today. On this occasion, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu in a Twitter message said that let us all pray, pranams to our revered gurus and continue to follow the noble practices taught by them. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also extended his greetings to the nation on the occasion. In a Twitter message, he said that on this day, we bow in reverence to all our gurus who have played an important role in inspiring, molding and shaping our society. According to the Hindu calendar, the full moon day Purnima is celebrated as Guru Purnima. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Breakfast News. Thanks for watching. Have a great day ahead.